Last time I spoke about guilt, self-hatred. This is universally found, whether you are a Christian or a Hindu, Indian or Pakistani or American or African. This is a universal problem. That's why I took it. This time I thought something similar. Another area every human being in some form or other suffers, and especially these days. This topic is called jealousy. I was told, or I was made to believe, women are more jealous than men, or religious sisters are more jealous than priests and brothers. All these are lies. I realized this truth when I myself went through some terrible jealous feelings, and I have suffered very much. Let me tell you a real experience of mine. I'm a Jesuit priest, many years of training. And I was, after the ordination, after becoming priest some years, we have what we call tertianship, another 6-7 months of training. I was in Hazaribagh. We had a very saintly priest, our instructor. According to our general, he was the best in the world. And I too considered him as one of the best. Saintly, holy person. But I never approached him. Till one day, I started suffering from what is called jealousy. I was actually friendly with a person. And that person also liked me immensely. But then I noticed that person also was friendly with somebody else. This created terrible insecurity in me, disturbance in me. So I went and confronted that person and said, "Do you like me or the other person more?" And that person said, you are the first. I felt nice. But then again, I noticed that person was friendly with the other person. Now, every day I cannot go and ask. To put it summarily, I was suffering terribly from what he called jealousy. I could not eat, I could not sleep, I could not relate with other people. My life was simply a terrible hell. It's not only 1 or 2 days, several days. So I went to this priest, our instructor, who was supposed to be very holy, and I told him, "See, I'm going through these jealous feelings. Terrible." And he looked at me and softly said, "We all go through that, no?" I said, "Did I hear you say, we all go through that?" And he said, "Yes, exactly that's what I said." I was stunned. A holy man, a Tertian instructor, and supposed to be one of the best in the world. And he is telling me, I too go through that. My reaction was just to embrace him. I found he was very human. In that humanness and admitting that humanness, I found holiness much more. Now, why I want to say this one, share. If you look at the Bible, I'm a Christian, and in the Bible you'll find lot of stories about the terrible harm this feeling creates. For example, there is a record of the murder, Abel and Cain. The first murder, when Cain came to know his brother's offering was accepted by God and he was more pleasing, Cain killed his brother, Abel. There are many. I'm just taking only one or two. If you read the book of Samuel, you'll see God selected Saul as their king, Israelites, the Hebrews. And they had enemies, the Philistines. Once a Goliath, he challenged the Israelites. And a little shepherd boy named David, with a sling and some ordinary pebbles, he killed the enemy. And when they were returning, Saul went with his chariot to welcome David. And as they were returning, the women came out. Read 1 Samuel 18. And there, women were singing, Saul killed thousands and David 10,000s. When Saul heard this, he couldn't bear this. They sing, I killed thousands and David 10,000s. So that day he decided to kill David. And several attempts he made to kill David. Read the Bible, it's an interesting story. In today's readings, you see Saul went with an army to catch David, to kill him. And David had to run away. And he was hiding in a cave. But, the natural urges, King Saul, was going in search of him, and he had to do his, natural urges, like number one, number two. He had to go to the cave to do his business, and his enemy David was hiding there. He could easily kill Saul. But instead he cuts a piece of his garment, the king's, and when the king relieved himself and as he was returning, David shouts at him and tells him, you came to kill me, now look at your own garment. A corner of that, what you are wearing, is in my hand. I could kill you, but I did not. Again, this story goes. If you read Genesis, Jacob had many sons. One of them, the youngest, was Joseph. He liked him and loved him, but the other brothers hated him. And they wanted to kill him. But then they sold him to some traders, some businessmen, and they sold him. Finally, he reached an Egyptian king Pharaoh's office. And you know the story, whole thing. Finally, he became Joseph. He became one of the ministers of Pharaoh. And Jacob's sons had to go there without knowing to beg for food. That's an interesting story to read. And Bible is full of these stories of jealousy. Father, I'm a Jesuit, I told you. Father Valles, one of his books, he speaks of jealousy. It is common among Jesuits. It is, I said, because easy for me to say that. No Jesuit will deny that. Not only among Jesuits, even other priests and nuns. Once a layperson told me, priests are like the dogs. One dog doesn't like the other dog. In the same way, when a priest does well, the other priests feel very insecure. I'm not condemning. Priests and nuns are human beings. It is telling a reality of life. There is a lot of jealousy. It's a common thing. Once a priest told me he was invited by a stranger for a dinner, and he had a meal, accepted it, and he told him, I have never seen you before. You have never seen me. Why did you come and invite me for this meal? He said, I wanted to share my joy with someone, and I thought I will share it with you. Then he said, what is the joy? What is the special occasion? He said, I am promoted. Then he said, he should have called your friends and he should have celebrated. And this man said, I cannot invite my friends, they are jealous. That's why I called you to celebrate with me. We all want to do better, improve ourselves, but when it is our next door neighbor who is doing better than us, how do you feel? Are you able to celebrate? Are you able to enjoy with him? Of course, when somebody suffers, we all go to help. When someone is doing better than us, how do you feel? This evil called jealousy is always there, because we are brought up always to compare, to compete, and we are living in a world of competition, comparison. And what does this comparison and competition do? It makes, when somebody does better than us, we feel terribly jealous. We want to put down that person. Isn't it true? And now, what are you going to do? Because this jealousy is terrible. Schools, we often see this. Schools, we find it very often. In institutions, we find this very often. And in politics, we find this. When one wants to compete with the other, you know, the thrill, the excitement when one gets, when becomes first, it is always at the cost of another. Unfortunately, our celebrations are not that I can do well and I am doing well, but I am better than the other. When I see the other person's misery, I feel more happy. That's the world we are coming to. This you can see in politics. Why often people change the party in which they belong to, or the rivals, what they do. It's a reflection of us. I'm reminded of a boy who wanted a nice toy. His parents said it's very expensive. We cannot afford to buy every year, every month, a new toy for you. But the boy wanted. Finally, the parents bought that and told him for the whole year, you will not get another toy. He got it. He was so happy. He was so proud of having that toy and showed to all his friends. But then that joy did not last very long. After 1 or 2 months, another friend of him got a better toy, little more improved and little more expensive. All the joy disappeared. Father Wallace talks about a lady. She wanted a house of her own. And finally, all the money which they had, they spent to build a nice house. And she designed a kitchen, a garden, and she was very proud to show to her friends and neighbors about the house and the work she had done to improve the kitchen, etc. And she was full of joy. But that did not last very long. After some time, she found one of her neighbors built another house, and they had a better garden. And this lady became very quiet. She lost all her interest in inviting people and showing off to them about her house. Her house was exactly the same as before. Her garden was really good, but she was feeling miserable because her joy was in putting down somebody else. She was comparing herself. Now, when her neighbor did well, she is feeling terribly jealous. The same thing happens to men. There were two brothers. They were very friendly. One of them got married to a beautiful girl. And he was very proud and very happy. But as time passed, his brother also got married, and she had a wife more beautiful than his elder brothers. Now, the elder brother couldn't bear that. You see, jealousy comes from comparison, and it leads to competition. And then we want to put down the other. Even we want to murder. You know the story of Othello. And see, whenever there is this jealousy, jealousy is because I want to have what you have. When I get what you have, I feel nice. But how long that will last? How long? Because somebody or other always will be better than us in some other area. And that I cannot bear. Because I cannot bear, either I hate myself or I hate the other. And I may even go to the extent of killing the other to remain in the first place. We hear only one side of the story very often, no? Whenever there is competition, what an amount of hatred there is. We are talking about the winner in the cricket, the Olympics. We are praising so much the media, but you know how many hundreds are feeling miserable? Not because they are bad, just because they miss the first place. Jealousy, hatred, comparison, competition, all these things lead to misery. Now, how do I deal with my jealousy? Just watch, observe. Don't blame, don't accuse. Be in touch with my own feelings. As I watch and understand what is happening to me from a distance, not blaming myself, not blaming the others, but just watch, observe, and accept. Then that jealousy loses its grip of competing, comparing. Learning to accept my life as it is and enjoying it, that is the solution. There is the answer. Beware of jealousy. There is no harm in feeling jealous. All of us feel at some time or other jealous. But become aware. If we give too much importance to that jealousy and that comparison and want to defeat the other to come on top, you will do a lot of damage to the other and much more to yourself, because you will come across somebody or other always better than you. And you cannot compete with the whole world all the time, can you? Nothing is lasting. Everything is passing. So learn to love life as it is by watching, observing, being content with what we have, what we are. That is the answer to free ourselves from our own jealousies.